Just because you decided to grow your gray out doesn't mean you can't still mix it up. So let's say you're on your, going gray journey, either growing your gray out or have grown it out. And you like it, but you've started getting a little bored with it. I know for me, I've always kind of gotten bored with, my hair. So I'd end up changing the style or changing the color or something like that. And that's not going to change once you go gray. If you've gone through the journey or are going through the journey, you know what kind of sacrifice you're making. It isn't an easy thing to go through. There's this transition period, but rather than hating every step of the journey, why not embrace it and have a lot more fun with it? I think there's a ton of different ways you can really change up your look and just be really creative with your hair. I do want to preface that you really, some of these ideas are something you really want to test out yourself. Talk with your hairdresser. Hopefully you have a hairdresser that you really love and trust, and make sure that these looks don't damage your hair. So it's really good to have a very, very clear idea, both between you and your hairdresser, of what you want to have done, and then what's all involved in going back to your gray hair. One very important thing to understand, especially when you bleach your hair, is that once it's bleached, it's changed permanently. Yes, you maybe could add back color, you could do this or that, but that hair is now different. So a couple of things about bleached hair is that it will turn brassy. So you're then needing to make sure to tone it to keep that at bay. Another thing is, even if you use a semi-permanent direct dye, absolutely no lift at all, on bleached hair, it stains it, which is basically permanent. So that's something to keep in mind with some of these suggestions that I'm going to come up with, because in theory, with your gray hair, if it's your virgin gray hair, no bleach, no nothing, you could add a direct dye, semi-permanent, just the one bottle, no developer, and it just lays on your hair and then it lifts off without any damage. Why I'm wanting just to be careful about this is that there's so many different products out there. There's who knows what your personal hair story is. So it's a really good idea to test whatever you're wanting to do on strands that, if they get stained or whatever, it's not going to be noticeable. Certain dyes, certain colors stick to your hair stronger than others. So that's something that you really do need to be thoughtful of before jumping in and trying some of these different things. So this first look is probably what I wished my hair would grow out like. And it's this very dramatic salt and pepper look, but with the streaks of colors. So you've got the dark streaks up against those light streaks. And I absolutely love that look. Now, is my hair growing out looking like that? No. So in order for me to get that look, I would have to still be bleaching my hair to have the lighter parts. And I may even need to come in and add darker lowlights in areas. Now I have my beautiful friend Stephanie, and her and I decided to go gray together. And her hair was permanently dyed, and she had very dark hair. And it was probably like a really dark brown, not quite black, but very, very dark. Well, she doesn't have gray hair. She has white hair. I mean, it's almost completely white. So here is a picture of that dramatic, the white up against the black. And I absolutely love her hair. And she then will continue that look by going in and adding the low lights, because her hair is so light now. I mean, it's basically white. So all she needs to do is then add a few different low lights to get that contrast back. Another idea that I really, really like, one thing that when you go gray, you're going to notice the change in tone. So you're going generally, especially if you have darker hair, all of a sudden your hair has more of a gray look, a cooler tone. But if you wanted to warm that up, you could then add brown highlights. And I think that's a great, kind of like a little bit of a modern twist. And then you're adding back some of that warmth that is a very, very youthful look. Now, if you really want to jazz it up, you can actually add your low lights, but add different colors. So again, the sky's the limit, whatever colors you wanted to add in there. But up against your gray hair, it just is so beautiful. Now, as I've mentioned many times, the method that I'm using to transition to gray is adding strategic highlights. And I'm enjoying the journey. I'm not really too critical about if I can't get my highlights to match my grays at the expense of really over bleaching my hair. So if there is still a little bit of warmth and yellow in there, I'm not hating it. So it's nice to enjoy the whole process. And doing highlights is a great way to break it up, add dimension to your hair. You can add the different tones. So if you're still wanting to have more of a warm, like say blonde look, then great, you can still wear that as your hair underneath is growing out. Another thing you can do is, let's say you're completely grown out and you do want to mix it up a little bit. Again, there's semi-permanent toners that are warm, so you could actually, use more of a blonde warm tone in your hair just to change it up a little bit. Another really fun thing you can do, especially it's when dealing with, like my grow out is to about here, and then there's this brown, and that's the permanent dye that I used. And once you quit coloring your hair, this permanent dye doesn't stay the same color it was when I dyed it originally. It gets faded and it gets kind of dull and that sort of thing. But a really fun thing to do is actually color that maybe a different color. So in this picture, as you can see, it's almost like an ombre effect of the grow out, and then she blends in the purple and is dyeing this part that's still growing out. Now this look I absolutely love, and it's kind of reversing it. So let's say you're grown out, you want to change it up a bit, adding the root a different color, and they create a root smudge so that you've got this beautiful color up against your either white or gray hair. And that's another great fun thing that you can do. And then this final look is something that would also be fun. Now for me, I know the top part here is going to be where most of my lighter color is. And then in the back, it's actually very, very dark. So if I wanted to use a, like in this picture, a semi-permanent direct dye color all over my hair, it would have the different shades. So it would be a lot lighter of a color on my white hair, and then it would be a darker color on my with my darker hair. So these are just a few ideas that I've come across and I've seen and I absolutely love. I mean, seriously, you can get so many different ideas off of Pinterest or whatever. And I think the ones that we really have to thank for this are the younger women that have embraced gray hair, whether it's their own, because some women go gray at 20, or if they're dyeing their hair gray. But they're really showing that, yes, we can play this thing up and have a lot of fun with it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you're enjoying this content. You'll really be helping out my channel. And I hope you have a great day.